Have you ever looked at a woman you slept with and deep down felt like something was off? Like the connection was real for a moment, but afterward she vanished as if nothing happened? Maybe she smiled that night, whispered your name, looked at you like you were the only man in the world, and then the next morning she turned cold, distant, unreachable. You blamed yourself, didn't you? You told yourself you must have done something wrong, that she lost interest, that maybe you weren't good enough. But what if I told you it was never about you? What if the real reason she slept with you had nothing to do with love, attraction, or even lust, but everything to do with something hidden inside her? Something ancient, something psychological, something even she doesn't fully understand. Tonight I'm going to expose that truth, because behind every seemingly impulsive decision a woman makes, there's a story written in her subconscious. You see, when a woman gives herself to a man, she isn't always giving her heart. Sometimes she's chasing a feeling she lost, sometimes she's escaping her own reflection, and sometimes she's proving to herself that she still holds power, even when she feels powerless. The world tells you women sleep with men for romance, chemistry, or adventure. That's the surface, but underneath, there are 4 invisible motives that drive her actions. 4 hidden triggers that explain why she chooses one man and rejects another, why she stays one night and disappears the next. By the end of this video, you won't just understand women better, you'll see through them. You'll finally decode what 99% of men never notice, the unspoken psychology that decides desire, connection, and heartbreak. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Tonight we're diving deep into the unspoken realities of female intimacy, peeling back the layers society tells us to keep hidden. If you've ever felt that confusing sting of a connection that felt real, only to have her disappear like smoke, then this video is for you. We're going to talk about the hidden motives, the secret triggers that drive a woman's decision to be intimate, motives that have absolutely nothing to do with her telling you she likes your eyes or your sense of humor. These are the primal forces, the subconscious drives that most men are completely blind to. And until you understand them, you'll be forever playing a game you can't win. Imagine this. You meet a woman. There's chemistry, laughter, a spark you can't deny. One thing leads to another, and you spend the night together. In your mind, you're building something, a connection, a possibility, but for her, the story might be entirely different. She might be chasing a ghost from her past, proving something to herself, or simply escaping the suffocating reality of her life. And when she pulls away, when she turns cold, it's not because you did something wrong. It's because her underlying motive was fulfilled, and you were simply a temporary catalyst. Tonight, we're going to expose 4 of these deeply ingrained, often subconscious reasons why women choose to be intimate. These aren't shallow reasons. They are profound psychological truths that, once revealed, will transform the way you interact with women and, more importantly, the way you protect your own heart. Stop letting confusion lead to heartbreak. It's time to gain the clarity that empowers you. The first hidden reason a woman might choose intimacy is validation. And I'm not talking about superficial compliments or likes on social media. I'm talking about a deep, often desperate need to affirm her own worth and desirability. In a world constantly judging her appearance, her career, her very being, intimacy can become a powerful, albeit temporary, source of proof. Think about a woman who has recently gone through a breakup, felt rejected, or simply lost touch with her inner confidence. She might feel invisible, undesirable, or even broken. Then you enter her life. You see her, you make her laugh. You look at her in a way that makes her feel truly wanted. For her, choosing to be intimate with you isn't just about lust. It's about reclaiming her sense of self-worth. You become a mirror, reflecting back the image of a desirable, powerful woman she desperately needs to see. Here's the critical point. You might believe she's deeply attracted to you, that you're the one who finally saw her. But sometimes you are simply the vessel through which she validates her own existence. This doesn't make her manipulative. It makes her human, navigating complex emotional landscapes. But if you mistake this validation-driven intimacy for genuine romantic desire, you are setting yourself up for an inevitable crash. When her internal need for validation is met, or when the feeling fades, she might withdraw, leaving you confused and hurt. She won't tell you, "I slept with you because I needed to feel wanted." She'll let you believe it was pure chemistry, an undeniable spark, but underneath she was filling an emptiness she didn't know how to articulate, and when that emptiness inevitably returns, so too might her distance. Understanding this distinction is crucial to preventing heartbreak and building truly authentic connections. Let's delve deeper into the intricate mechanics of this need for validation. It's not a superficial vanity, but often a defense mechanism against a world that constantly chips away at a woman's sense of self. From childhood, girls are often praised for their appearance and compliance, subtly teaching them that their value is externally derived. As they grow, this external validation becomes a deeply ingrained hunger. Social media exacerbates this, creating a constant performance where self-worth is measured by likes, comments, and the perception of an idealized life. When a woman feels she's failing this performance, when she feels unseen or unappreciated, the need for a powerful, direct affirmation becomes paramount. Intimacy provides that raw, undeniable proof. In the act itself, there's an unfiltered acceptance, a physical declaration that you are desired. This can feel incredibly potent, especially if she's been starved of genuine affection or has faced recent rejections. The warmth of a man's touch, the whispered words of desire, the sheer act of being chosen in that moment. These aren't just physical sensations. They are profound psychological reassurances that she is indeed still attractive, still capable of captivating a man. However, this is where the danger lies for both parties. For the man, it's easy to confuse this intense temporary validation with a deeper, lasting attraction. You might feel a profound connection, believing you've found someone who truly sees and desires you. But for her, the purpose might have been fulfilled. The proof has been gathered. The emotional wound has been temporarily bandaged. And just like a painkiller wears off, the feeling of validated worth can fade, leaving her to retreat and you to wonder what went wrong. She might genuinely enjoy the experience, even enjoy you, but her primary drive was self-affirmation, not necessarily the initiation of a committed relationship. This often leads to the ghosting, the sudden coldness, the inexplicable distance that leaves men reeling. She wasn't lying. She was simply operating from a deeper, unspoken need that you weren't equipped to understand. To truly navigate these waters, you must learn to distinguish between a woman seeking personal validation and a woman seeking genuine partnership. It requires a keen awareness of subtle cues, a healthy skepticism of overwhelming intensity, and a commitment to not projecting your desires onto her unspoken needs. The second hidden reason women seek intimacy is escape, not from you, but from the suffocating realities of their own lives, from the weight of expectations, responsibilities, and unseen burdens. Women often live in a relentless storm of societal pressures. Be beautiful, be successful, be nurturing, be independent, be sexy, but not slutty. This constant pressure can create a silent prison within her own mind, and sometimes intimacy becomes a temporary doorway to freedom, a brief respite from the relentless demands of her identity. Consider a woman trapped in a mundane routine, drowning under professional stress or stifled in relationships that have become cold and unfulfilling. Then you appear. Perhaps you're different, exciting, even a little dangerous. You represent something outside her suffocating world. In that moment, you're not just a man. You're an escape route. For her, intimacy isn't merely about physical attraction. It's about breaking free from the invisible chains she's been dragging for years. This explains why some women make choices that seem utterly irrational to outsiders. A devoted mother drawn to a man she knows is trouble. A highly successful professional risking her reputation with someone far beneath her social standing. To the world, it looks reckless, impulsive, confusing. But for her, in that stolen night, she isn't the responsible figure, the polished career woman, or the person everyone expects her to be. She is simply free. She is simply alive. Intimacy becomes her temporary escape hatch from the identity the world has glued onto her. Men often misunderstand this intense connection. You believe she's captivated by your unique charm, that you've sparked something truly rare. While that can be true, other times you were simply the exit door she desperately needed. The reason she smiled differently, laughed harder, touched you like she was starved for contact, it wasn't solely about you. It was about the intoxicating freedom you represented in her mind. And when that freedom inevitably ends, when she returns to the life she tried to escape, the connection often fades like smoke. This is why many men feel blindsided. They interpret the passion as a promise, the chemistry as permanence, only to be left wondering why she vanished. For her, it might have been an unforgettable escape, but not a beginning. If you can't discern the difference, you'll continue to mistake her temporary rebellion for genuine, lasting devotion. Let's unpack this escape motive further. because its nuances are critical. The desire to escape often stems from a profound sense of entrapment, a feeling that her life, her identity, her very choices are not truly her own. This could be due to oppressive family expectations, a soul-crushing job, a long-term relationship that has grown stagnant and devoid of excitement, or even the subtle yet pervasive societal demands that dictate how a good woman should behave. She may be playing a role for everyone else, constantly performing, constantly accommodating, until she feels utterly disconnected from her true self. In such a state, the allure of the forbidden or the different becomes incredibly powerful. A man who represents a stark contrast to her everyday life, perhaps he's adventurous, rebellious, or simply oblivious to her established responsibilities, can become an irresistible beacon of freedom. Intimacy with him isn't just about physical pleasure, it's a symbolic act of defiance, a momentary shattering of the cage she feels trapped within. The thrill isn't necessarily in you, but in the transgression, in the brief suspension of her duties and the shedding of her prescribed identity. The intensity you feel from her in these moments is often genuine, but it's an intensity fueled by her internal struggle, not necessarily a blossoming love for you. Her laughter might be louder, her touch more fervent, her gaze more direct because for once she is being her authentic, unburdened self. She is alive in a way she rarely gets to be. You become a conduit for this liberation. The heartbreaking reality for men is that this intense, exhilarating connection is often ephemeral. As the sun rises or as the reality of her obligations crashes back in, the escape concludes. The fantasy dissipates. She must return to the life she momentarily abandoned. And with that return, the need for the escape artist, you, diminishes. The connection wasn't designed for permanence. It was a temporary relief. Misunderstanding this dynamic leads to profound pain. You might feel used, discarded, or question your own judgment when in fact you simply served a profound, if transient, psychological function for her. To protect your heart, you must learn to recognize the signs of a woman seeking a temporary reprieve from her life versus one truly seeking to build a future with you. This often involves paying attention to how much of her actual life she shares with you, beyond the immediate intoxicating bubble you create together. Is she integrating you into her reality, or keeping you firmly in the realm of fantasy? The third hidden reason women engage in intimacy is power. Not the overt, aggressive power often associated with men, but a subtler, invisible power of influence, leverage, and control in a world that often positions men as holding the dominant hand. For some women, intimacy becomes a strategic tool, a way of reminding themselves that they can bend desire to their will. This isn't always a conscious calculation, but it is a potent, undeniable force. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Imagine a woman who has consistently felt overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed, perhaps by men she admired, by her family, or by society at large. When she consciously or subconsciously chooses to be intimate with a man, especially one who seems unattainable, high status, or already taken, she experiences not just intimacy but a profound sense of victory. In her mind, she has proven something. She has demonstrated her ability to attract and capture a man others desired, making him hers, even if only for a fleeting moment. For her, that night is less about passion and more about conquest. This dynamic explains why you sometimes see women drawn to men of significant status, men in positions of authority, or even men who are already in committed relationships. To an outsider, these choices might appear chaotic, destructive, or purely selfish. But within her psychology, it's often about accessing a feeling of influence, about experiencing the rush of holding a power she rarely feels in her daily life. And if she can walk away knowing she had him even briefly, that feeling of control, that quiet triumph can burn deep into her memory, bolstering her sense of self-efficacy. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men hesitate to admit. Sometimes, you weren't chosen because of who you are as an individual, but because of what conquering you represented to her. You were a symbol, a prize, not necessarily a soulmate. If you fail to recognize this, you will completely misinterpret her motives. You'll believe it was love or deep attraction when in truth it was victory. You'll think you truly mattered to her when in her internal narrative you were merely proof that she could win. This doesn't make women villains. It makes them human, navigating their own battles for recognition and influence, often in ways that differ from men. Men have historically sought status and dominance through overt means. Women often employ subtler, more covert strategies. Intimacy in these instances becomes one such battleground. Unless you learn to identify this dynamic, you will continue to stumble into situations where you confuse her power play for genuine emotional connection. You might offer your heart, while she simply takes the satisfaction of knowing she exerted control. And the most painful consequence? When a man fails to recognize this, he ends up feeling used, discarded, and betrayed. Not because she harbored malice, but because her fundamental reason for being there was never aligned with his. Let's dissect this intricate dance of power in the realm of intimacy. The pursuit of power through sexual connection is deeply rooted in historical and societal constructs. For centuries, women often held limited overt power in society. Their influence was frequently exerted through charm, allure, and their ability to attract and sway powerful men. While times have changed, these subconscious patterns can persist. A woman might leverage her sexuality not out of malice, but as a deeply ingrained, almost instinctive, mechanism to feel agency and control in situations where she otherwise feels powerless. Consider the dynamics. A woman who feels perpetually overlooked in her professional life, or constantly underestimated by family, or even one who has been through experiences where she felt her autonomy was compromised. For her, the act of drawing a man in, especially a desirable one, and having him surrender to her, can be an incredibly potent reaffirmation of her own strength and influence. It's a silent internal declaration. I may not control the boardroom, but I can control desire. I may not have the loudest voice, but I have undeniable pull. The trophy aspect here is significant. If you are a man with status, an attractive physique, a reputation, or even just someone who is generally desired by other women, your conquest can provide an immense boost to her self-esteem and sense of power. It's not about you as a person, but about what you represent. A challenge overcome, a prize secured. This can manifest in her sharing details with friends, not necessarily maliciously, but as a boast, or simply in her internal satisfaction. The intensity she displays might be genuine in the moment, but it's an intensity born of triumph, not necessarily tender affection. The subtle danger for men is in interpreting this conquest energy as true romantic affection. Her pursuit might be fierce, her passion intoxicating, but these are often the hallmarks of a woman on a mission for self-affirmation through power. When the mission is accomplished, the connection can quickly dissipate, leaving the man bewildered. He thought he was loved. She felt she was victorious. The misalignment of these underlying motives creates a chasm of misunderstanding. To protect yourself, be wary of women who seem overly focused on your external attributes, your social standing, or who display an almost competitive drive in their pursuit. While confidence and ambition are attractive, an underlying hunger for external validation or control can signal that you are merely a means to an end, a stepping stone in her own power narrative, rather than a genuine partner in a shared journey. Learn to distinguish between being genuinely cherished and being strategically chosen. The fourth hidden reason women seek intimacy, and arguably the most haunting, is a profound longing for connection. This isn't the superficial connection of small talk or flirtation, but the deep, aching need that stems from feeling fundamentally unseen, unheard, and truly alone in a world that rarely listens. For many women, intimacy becomes the only space where they can feel temporarily understood, truly held, and genuinely known. This reason is particularly tragic because it often reveals a truth men rarely perceive. Sometimes she isn't giving you her body. She's giving you her loneliness. Consider this. She walks through her days surrounded by people, coworkers, family, friends, yet inside, she feels a profound sense of invisibility. Nobody truly asks what she thinks, what she fears, what truly weighs on her heart. She carries her secrets, her doubts, her insecurities in silence, building walls around her true self. Then late at night she meets you. Perhaps you listen, truly listen, more than most. You touch her in a way that feels protective, grounding, understanding. In that fragile, vulnerable moment, sleeping with you feels less like raw desire and more like medicine. For one night she isn't invisible. For one night she belongs. This explains why intimacy with some women can feel so intensely raw, so deeply emotional, so utterly unforgettable, because it isn't just physical. It's her way of collapsing into someone who, for that brief time, finally made her feel alive, seen, and less alone. And when a man mistakes this for romantic love, he's only half wrong. It is love, but not in the way he imagines. It's the desperate love she craves, the profound connection she yearns for, but often lacks the tools or the emotional safety to build in a sustainable way. That's why these intense connections often end with lingering confusion. She gave you her loneliness, her vulnerability, her hidden ache for belonging. But when the night is over and the external world reasserts itself, the loneliness often returns, perhaps even more acutely. And here's the devastating truth. Many men never realize how much pain they were actually touching in that moment. You thought she was there purely out of attraction. In reality, she was there because she couldn't bear the silence inside her anymore. She used intimacy as a temporary bridge over an ocean of emptiness, even if that bridge was destined to burn as soon as dawn came. This reason is the most tragic because it means sometimes you're not competing with another man. You're competing with the shadows of her own heart, and no matter how much you give, if she hasn't faced those shadows herself, the connection, however intense, can never truly last. But for that one night, you weren't just a man to her. You were the lifeline she was reaching for, even if only for a moment of relief. Let's explore the profound depths of this longing for connection. It's a primal human need, amplified in women by societal pressures to maintain an outward appearance of strength and composure, often at the expense of genuine vulnerability. Many women are taught to be self-sufficient, to not burden others with their emotional complexities, and to present a polished facade. This creates a profound internal disconnect, where their deepest fears, insecurities, and desires remain unspoken and unaddressed. They might have a wide circle of friends, a loving family, or even a successful career, but still feel a profound existential loneliness, a feeling of being fundamentally alone in their inner world. In this context, a man who offers genuine presence, who truly listens without judgment, and who creates a space for emotional vulnerability, can become incredibly appealing. The physical act of intimacy in these cases transcends mere lust. It becomes a physical manifestation of emotional surrender. The holding, the touching, the closeness, these are interpreted not just as sexual acts but as a temporary antidote to her profound isolation. It's a nonverbal plea to be seen, to be held, to be reassured that she is not utterly alone in her struggles. The intensity you feel from her during these encounters can be overwhelming because it's born of a deep, unfulfilled need. Her tears, her clinging, her raw emotionality, these are not necessarily indicators of love at first sight for you, but rather the temporary breaking of her emotional dam. She is allowing herself to be truly vulnerable, perhaps for the first time in a long time. You become the temporary vessel for her unexpressed grief, fear, or yearning. The tragedy for men, however, is that while this connection is deeply felt and profoundly real in the moment, it is often not sustainable for her. The underlying loneliness, the deeper issues that caused her to seek such intense, fleeting connection, are not resolved by a single night of intimacy. When the physical closeness fades, the internal emptiness can return, sometimes with renewed force. She might pull away, not because she dislikes you, but because the temporary fix has worn off and she is left once again with her unresolved pain. You are left with the confusion and hurt of a bond that felt so powerful, only to dissolve. To protect your own heart, you must learn to discern between a woman who is genuinely seeking to build a lasting, shared connection, and one who is using intimacy as a temporary balm for her profound internal loneliness. Look for consistency in her engagement beyond the bedroom, her willingness to build a relationship in the light of day, and her active efforts to address her deeper emotional needs, rather than just seeking fleeting relief. Now you see it. The hidden reasons women sleep with men aren't random, and they're rarely as simple as pure desire. Sometimes it's validation, chasing the reflection of being wanted and worthy. Sometimes it's escape, breaking free from the cages life has built around her. Sometimes it's power, proving to herself she could conquer what others could not. And sometimes it's connection, filling the silence of her loneliness with the warmth of another body. None of these truths make women bad, manipulative, or disingenuous, just as they don't make men innocent or perpetually misunderstanding. They make us human. Messy, complicated, driven by wounds, fears, and needs we rarely admit out loud, even to ourselves. We are all navigating complex internal landscapes, and our actions, especially in the intimate realm, are often expressions of these deeper, unspoken drives. But here's where most men fail and where heartbreak is often born. They mistake these hidden motives for genuine romantic love, for destiny, for permanence. They interpret the intensity of these fleeting connections as a sign of a lasting bond. And when she inevitably pulls away, when she disappears, when she acts like that night or those few nights meant nothing to her, they bleed inside. They are left with not just the loss of her presence, but the crushing confusion of never knowing what was truly real in the first place. The pain is compounded by the feeling of betrayal, when in reality there was no lie, only a profound misunderstanding of her underlying drivers. This ignorance is why heartbreak cuts so deep. It's not just the loss of her, it's the shattering of your perception of reality, the confusion of never truly understanding the unspoken reason she was there. The truth is, intimacy is never just physical. It is profoundly psychological. It is deeply emotional. It is undeniably primal, and unless you learn to see the hidden motives behind it, you will remain blind, forever guessing, forever giving your heart to women who were never offering theirs in the same currency, for the same reasons. You will continue to build castles on quicksand, mistaking the momentary fulfillment of her deeper needs for the foundation of a shared future. But if you begin to see these patterns, if you start listening not just to her words, but to her silence, not just to her smile, but to the hunger beneath it, you'll gain a clarity that 99% of men will never reach. You'll stop confusing being chosen for personal validation with being truly loved for who you are. You'll stop mistaking a fleeting moment of escape for a promise of forever. You'll stop seeing her power play as genuine affection, and in that profound clarity, you'll finally protect your heart from unnecessary pain, while still being capable of offering your genuine strength and presence to women who truly seek a meaningful, lasting connection. This awareness is not about cynicism. It's about wisdom. It's about understanding the complex tapestry of human desire, so you can navigate it with your eyes open and your heart guarded, yet still capable of genuine love when it presents itself authentically.